Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our January 24th City Council meeting. We'll now bring to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. On to presentations, our monthly sheriff's report. Lieutenant Peters, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Thank you for having me this evening. This is the December 2021 Sheriff's Office brief. December had a total of 346 calls for service. Deputies responded to 9 theft-related crimes and 1 damage to property call. Deputies' traffic enforcement efforts resulted in the issuance of 18 traffic citations. At the end of 2021, our total calls for service was 5,336, which is slightly higher than the 5,291 total calls for service in the city during the 2020 calendar year. The month of December, we had a few interesting and notable calls, which are as follows. On December 7th, Sergeant Pills responded to a report of a theft from vehicle report inside the city of East Bethel. He had spoke to the complainant, who said she and her husband arrived home at around 1:15 and went into their house. She thought that her husband had locked the truck doors, which he typically does, but it appears to not have occurred here in this case. When they went back outside at around 3 o'clock, the passenger doors were standing open and a computer bag with a laptop, handgun, medications, and business and financial documents were also taken. Missing inside of the vehicle were also 2 Carhartt jackets. Sergeant Pills advised the complainant to attempt to locate a serial number for the laptop and to call back so that he could enter those items as stolen. He also entered that missing firearm as stolen as well. He told our reporting party to call our bank right away and cancel any and all financial documents to account for the missing theft. The complainant stated they did not see or hear anything unusual during the time of the theft, and they do not have any suspects at this time. This was very interesting to me reading through our reports, just being that it was in the middle of the day, you know, in the middle of December. So a good reminder for all of us to lock our car doors if we can. On December 10th, Deputy Sorensen was dispatched a theft report. He spoke to the reporting party, who reported that he had found somebody had come onto his property and cut a tree down and had taken it. He assumed that this person had taken it for a Christmas tree. At this period of time, there is no suspect information on this case either. The reporting party requested a report on file. In the late evening hours of December 18th, deputies stopped a white sedan at Highway 65 and Viking Boulevard Northeast after the 911 caller reported it being all over the roadway and after hitting a street sign. Deputy Lench arrived and noticed that the driver was exhibiting signs of impairment. Deputy Lench conducted standardized field sobriety testing on the driver, which the driver subsequently failed. The driver PBT'd a .15 BAC and was arrested for DWI. A DMT sample of the driver's breath later indicated a .14 BAC. The driver was subsequently charged with third-degree DWI. On December 20th, Deputy Fisher stopped a vehicle for an inoperable headlight near 237th Avenue and Highway 65. The driver stated he did not have any form of identification with him inside of the vehicle upon our deputy's request. Deputy Fisher then obtained a name from the male verbally. The male was shown to have a warrant and was arrested. During the course of the arrest, the male gave his real name, which also showed several active warrants for his arrest. It was determined that this male had been using his brother's name. He was transported to jail on the outstanding warrants and charged with false information to police.
So both brothers had outstanding warrants?
That's correct. On Christmas, Deputy Madsen was dispatched to a single vehicle personal injury accident at Wild Rice and 201st Avenue Northeast. Deputy Madsen arrived and noticed the vehicle's airbags had been deployed. The driver had sustained some facial injuries as a result of the crash. The driver admitted to prior alcohol consumption and was asked to perform standardized field sobriety testing. The driver subsequently refused those tests and was arrested for DWI. The driver was offered medical attention but refused that as well. The driver then refused all further testing options and was charged with third-degree DWI test refusal and booked into Anoka County Jail. Once again, on Christmas night, Deputy Jeske stopped a vehicle at Viking Boulevard Northeast and Highway 65 Northeast for driving conduct. Upon contacting the driver, Deputy Jeske noticed that the driver was exhibiting signs of impairment. Deputy Jeske asked the driver to perform standardized field sobriety testing, which she did and subsequently failed. The driver was arrested for DWI and later provided an evidentiary breath test that reported her blood alcohol concentration at 0.127. The driver was charged with fourth-degree DWI. So as we close out January, this being our coldest month, I'd just like to remind everybody to make sure that you have the proper cold weather gear and supplies inside your vehicle if you venture out later on this month and into February as well. It can be very cold. Make sure that your cell phones are charged. I know that if they stay cold for too long, sometimes you might lose some charge. You might not be able to call 911 if you need our assistance for anything of that matter. So thank you for having me this evening. Appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thanks. Any questions for Lieutenant tonight?
I have a question. That first report of the thefted from the truck, what area of East Bethel was that?
Yeah, I can get back to you on that. I can certainly email you tomorrow. I just didn't include it in my report. I want to make sure that we don't identify our victims if at all possible, but I'll certainly follow up with you.
Thank you. I just want to know what areas are being
Sure.
hit, because I hear a lot.
Sure.
I see a lot of, who is this staking out my property kind of
Right.
stuff. So, thank you. Thank you for what you all do.
Thank you very much for saying so.
So with Deputy Madsen on 1225, where the individual refused DWI testing, what is the procedure for that then, as far as can you charge them with a DWI then, or how do you prove a DWI?
Yeah, very, very good question. If I can be brief here, the law
Sure.
is written. The law is written in two separate ways. The law requires you to take a test to determine your blood alcohol concentration, and then if you refuse, they charge you with an additional crime. So it doesn't really matter what you say or do. At some point, you're going to have to either test or you're going to have to make the decision not to test. You likely will be facing some sort of criminal consequence then at that point. So
Okay.
yeah, certainly we can't necessarily prove a DUI or a DWI, but absolutely we can prove the refusal if somebody chooses not to go along with the program. If that answers your question, I think.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Lieutenant tonight? Any questions from the audience? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Chief DeSharm, our monthly fire department report. Good evening.
I'm gonna go down on this side, I've got a lot of papers today. So we wrapped up 2021. We had total call volume for the year was 865 calls, and that compares to a year ago, 2020, where we had 700 calls. So obviously we were quite a bit busier. During the month of December, there were 77 total calls. 62 of those were medicals. There were 4 car crashes, a couple burning and smoke complaints. We had 1 fire, which was actually in the city, which was a car fire. But we did participate in 5 mutual aid calls, mutual aid fires. So for the year, let me just get to that page. As I said, we had 865 calls. And our volume as far as, here we go. The yearly was 650 medical calls, 48 car crashes. We had 35 alarm calls, 38 complaints of illegal burning and smoke, 33 fires, which would include car fires and structure fires. And we had 21 mutual aid calls to help our neighboring cities. So as I get in, my February report will have some more specifics on 2021. So we are still fighting the COVID. Just so you know that as of last week, East Bethel has had 1,848 confirmed cases of COVID. And last week alone, there was an increase of 83. So the variations on the variants on the virus are affecting us and also affecting our call volume.
Mark, do you know what percentage of our medical calls involve COVID?
I don't have that, but I can get back to you on that. That might be a little bit more difficult to get, but I'll definitely get back to you.
Another question on that, with the colder weather, that there's been a uptick trend or curve. Have you been seeing an increase of numbers, or are you seeing a decrease, or is there any pattern right now?
Well, I can tell you in January, we're at a slower pace than we were in December, and a slower pace so far than a year ago. Not enough time to give you a trend line. The colder weather always brings in the flu and stuff like that. On the fire side, it brings in, the heat lamps that we've had, causing fires. We also get our alarm calls seem to go up with CO detection and fire alarms, smoke alarms.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I thought I interrupted you. Were you done? Any other questions from council?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. Mark, I just want to say thanks to you and your employees that responded to that accident last Friday night. 3.5 hours at 10 below. That was some cold weather, and I just want to make sure you say thanks to the people that responded to that one.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think it went extremely well. I think the crew were put in a very difficult position and performed their duties efficiently. And my thoughts and prayers go to the family of the victim.
Okay, I guess I know this occurred in January, but can you talk about the house fire that happened a couple weeks ago?
That was smoke. It was an interesting fire in that it caused a tremendous amount of damage, but we believe that fire had smoldered since probably about 9 o'clock in the morning, and it smoldered all the way through. And I believe that call came in about 5 minutes to 5, 10 minutes to 5 in the afternoon. There wasn't a lot of fire, but it was heat, and there was smoke in every single room. We believe it might be an appliance or something electrical. It was looked at, by the Anoka County Fire Investigation Team, as well as ourselves, and also the insurance company investigators have looked at it. Okay. And definitely the room of origin was the kitchen. And like I say, they're looking at the possibility of a countertop appliance.
Mm. Okay.
I think you're going to see a entire damage of And this is just a real rough estimate of structure and contents of well over $400,000.
And it's really unfortunate. Any other questions for Chief? Any questions from our audience tonight? All right, then we'll move on to item C.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 4C, Fire Department Policies and Guidelines. The November 2021 council work meeting, a draft of proposed changes to the Fire Department Policies and Guidelines were discussed. Council has requested a few changes to the documents that were presented that evening. These changes have been added and the final version is presented for review. Staff recommends council consider approval of the fire department guidelines and policies as presented in attachments 1 and attachments 2. Chief DeSharm will be glad to review any questions there are or review the changes made.
Okay, any questions?
I have some. All right, so, make sure I'm at the microphone. On page 83, the maintenance repair personnel, how many, or what percentage of fire people are qualified to do maintenance on all the equipment that's there? Because I know you have some complicated equipment.
Well, first of all, on the maintenance, what I think we're referring to, and could you give me that page number again? I'm sorry.
83.
Of which document? 83 of our packet?
I think it's,
I believe it's
Yes, it's a
83,
packet.
Of the
fo-
packet.
4.1.7.
Yes.
Thank you.
70 of the document.
Go ahead.
4.17.
Maintenance repair personnel.
Maintenance repair,
It just says
Personnel?
all maintenance and repairs will be done by qualified personnel trained to the manufacturer's standards. So I'm just
Okay.
wondering if the,
so on that type of maintenance, that's usually either done by our city's public works or city workers who are the mechanics, or they're done by a vendor, third-party vendor that we bring in that is has the certifications for the pumps and electrical and things like that.
okay, I just probably misunderstood it a little bit. There is another one I had marked, here it is, that I'm a little oh. There's still another one. I marked it, now I can't find it. It had to do with them being allowed to work on their personal vehicles in
In the apparatus bay,
the bay, yes.
we do allow individuals, firefighters, responders, to wash vehicles. As far as any maintenance that's done on vehicles, that's not allowed unless it's a very minor thing that's approved by an officer.
Because I kind of disagree with that. I don't think that should be allowed, because if something happened to their vehicle, then the city would end up being responsible for a privately owned vehicle. And I just totally disagree with that. And I don't know if they're getting paid when they're working on their own vehicle or not.
No, they would not be. And when we're talking about working on a vehicle, it might be like replacing wiper blades or something like that. We don't allow people to do oil changes. You don't allow people to change tires. We
But
don't.
it doesn't specify any of
So-
that in there, and how do you know they're not?
Well,
Unless you're there
we-
watching over.
Well, then word filters back. I mean, it's, But we don't allow that. And the reason for that is we don't have the space. Now, the biggest thing is we don't have the space.
Well, if their car is in there, you have the space.
Well, if everybody wanted to do it, all the firefighters,
Yeah.
it's not a repair shop.
Right, and I feel
Right.
like,
Yeah, and that's, well, we don't go in there and work on the cars. I mean, they go in there and wash the cars, their personal cars, and that's always been a sort of a benefit that, the firefighters have had, not only here in East Bethel, but, system-wide in the fire service. But we don't allow, when we talk about maintenance, we're talking about very, very minor maintenance.
well, I'm willing to approve this tonight, but I think that one paragraph should be more specific on what they're allowed to do, because when it just says maintenance, to me, maintenance includes oil changes, tire changes, transmission fluid changes, spark plug changes, whatever.
We can take maintenance out if the council wants.
Well, first of all, what page are you referring to? I'm lost.
My tab came out, so I can't really tell you right off the top of my head, but
Is this in the guidelines or in the?
it's in the first section, the the section that doesn't have the redaction in it. The only my tabs just must have fallen out.
Is it the additional personnel policies?
Would it be under building usage?
Okay, I found it. You just search wash and I found it. It's page 20 of the guidelines. I've got a different packet than everyone else, so I can't tell you what the packet page is.
What is the,
Apparatus area,
what's the numbers?
2.4.2.
2.4.2, yep, building usage.
So, I agree with Suzanne. I mean,
Yep,
it's
we can take
pretty
that out.
ambiguous that
Yeah.
it's any maintenance.
Would it,
I personally, I'm fine with the car washing part of it.
Because this does say maintenance and/or repairs and washing.
Well, I think that the repairs and maintenance should be removed.
okay,
Do we provide that same options to our maintenance department and the parks department? Do you know?
There's no written thing that authorizes that.
Okay. Is there any informal?
I'm sure there has probably been in the past. We can do something to adopt something formally to address that issue too.
so I'll take out performing any mechanical maintenance indoor repairs.
Well, mark the time I spent on there. I spend way too much time. I've never seen anybody work on a car, period. My 9 years
Right.
here, I've never seen anybody work on a car. It's wash cars, fire trucks, and that's about it. There's no maintenance on any
Yeah,
vehicles on there.
I don't know where if they're not on a call, all the bays are full, so I don't
Yeah.
know how they do it anyway, but. And if it's a perk to allow firefighters to wash inside, they're in the
Yes.
fire station, so, I don't have a problem with that. Okay,
All right, one more question.
Yeah.
And this is on the organizational chart. On page 89, it's with the strikeout version. Why are we striking out the words City of East Bethel organizational chart?
Well, that whole chart was taken out in
Whole
the,
chart.
yeah, right. That whole chart was taken out, not put in the clean copy. And the reason for that is because that is gonna be that'll be added to the front of, it won't be part of the document, but it'd be part of the whole package. because that changes so much. And instead of every time you change it, coming back to council to approve it, so,
The organizational chart changes? Well, I guess with the high,
yeah. So the organization, that's why that was taken out.
okay,
So we don't have an organizational chart that's 15 years old that's stuck in there.
that makes sense. All right, so long as it's gonna stay
Yep,
in there somewhere.
right.
All right, that's all I have, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
None for me.
So this is just an update? We're not voting on this tonight?
The proposal is to approve both attachment one, the policy, and attachment to the guidelines.
Okay. Is there a motion tonight?
I'll make a motion to approve the fire department guidelines and policies.
Second.
Motion made in second, discussion. Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, item D.
Item D is the new 2022 COVID exposure quarantine and isolation protocols. Anoka County Public Health and Environmental Services is the lead in keeping local governments updated with COVID information. Through meetings with local emergency management directors, Anoka County shares the most current information for isolation and quarantine procedures to help fight the COVID epidemic. Attachment 1 is the most recent COVID CDC recommendation to assist local governments in the decision process on quarantine and isolation of workers. Staff recommends the adoption of the 2022 Anoka County Health Environmental Services recommendation of isolation and quarantine for COVID and COVID-exposed employees as presented in Attachment 1.
Suzanne, can you pull your mic off of the, there, that might help with the feedback, sorry.
Thank you. Hope that works.
So I do have a question on this in our write-up here.
It might be me. I'm not saying anything, sorry.
In our write-up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs down, unvaccinated or non-fully vaccinated workers that are exposed to COVID must stay home for 5 days since the last exposure. If it is a household contact, 5 days start when the exposure stops. So I'm just, want clarification, I guess, on this. I read that as if it's a household contact, as in someone that is living in the house, a sibling or
That's,
somebody else,
that would be correct.
that
Yeah, right.
then if there's a household contact, 5 days start when the exposure stops. So is that,
That would be when that contact doesn't have the symptoms
okay,
Or test negative.
or test negative.
okay, so if a household contact to someone is sick in the house, does someone stay home then? Does that individual stay home plus 5 days till after the contact, or?
Well,
I'm-
yes and no. It depends where that person is going to quarantine or isolate. It is possible to isolate or quarantine, like in another room where that person never that infected person never comes out.
So that the infected person would have to quarantine
That's right.
at their house and
Right.
for the employee not to have any contact with
Right.
them.
That's right.
So if there is contact with them,
So,
that
right,
the sick individual is not quarantining, say if they have to be a caregiver.
Yeah, he has a run of the house, or you're the caregiver, your time starts when the person's sick, no longer has symptoms.
So, but in the
No.
meantime, while that person is sick, does that mean that they are still coming in?
No,
Or
that,
are they,
no, that means
Okay.
that it's 5 days past that.
okay,
So, no, they would not be allowed to come in.
okay, because that's, that's what I either was
At the
Well-
next sentence.
a little confused at how it stated, workers are exposed to COVID must stay home for 5 days since the last exposure. And when okay, that clarifies it for me unless my explanation raised other questions.
I just want to say, I disagree with separating the fully vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, because the vaccinated and unvaccinated, it doesn't matter. If your people who are vaccinated are getting it, actually more than people who are unvaccinated, and both of them are spreading it. I think it should be the same for either one. I don't think one should be treated differently than the other. I think it just
Well,
really,
they should be, because an unvaccinated person has the chance to get it harder and get hit harder, end up in the hospital in an ICU where there's only so many beds, where a vaccinated person, a great number of them will not get as sick and can recover at home. That's why they're separating.
there are plenty of vaccinated people in the ICU right now, and they're having people who are vaccinated with COVID still work in hospitals, and if you're unvaccinated and healthy, you can't work. None of this really is making a lot of sense, and it's not even, so I just disagree with the separation. I think everybody should be treated the same. If you're vaccinated, you're still spreading it. People who are unvaccinated, most of them have had COVID and have the antibodies, so they can't get it or spread it anyway. So
But are you going to vote for this resolution? I mean, this comes from Anoka County. This is not an East Bethel choice.
No,
This
not
is-
with the,
Okay.
Mark, this is federal government though, isn't it, right?
Well,
This is not just Anoka County, this comes from the federal
Well,
government.
Anoka County bases this off of CDC.
Right, okay.
Recommendations and,
So it's higher than Anoka County.
right.
You know, we can argue science of this all day long,
Yeah.
but this is something that's more liberal than the previous policy that we're currently operating under, which requires a 10-day quarantine period. So, from that aspect, it's an improvement over what we have.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into debate, and I'd say thank you, Suzanne, for your comments. Everybody's entitled to their own, and not to get into a debate up here, because we could have a 8-hour meeting debating it,
And get absolutely nowhere. I'll
Absolutely
guarantee
nowhere.
that.
Yeah.
So Okay, is there any other questions on this?
I'll make the motion for the adoption of the 2022 Anoka County Health and Environmental Services of isolation and quarantine for COVID and COVID-exposed employees as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made in second, discussion. Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
That motion passes. On to our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's consent agenda. I'd like to pull item C, as in cat.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Tim, item C.
I just want to say congratulations to Jill King for being promoted to lieutenant and training officer. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to adopt item C on the agenda.
I'll second, and congratulations.
Motion made, second, discussion. Hearing none, to the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. There is no new business. On to department reports. Public Works.
Item 7E1, 2022 Joint Powers Agreement, Street Maintenance Projects. Cities of Coon Rapids, Andover, Anoka, Brooklyn Center, Columbia Heights, Ham Lake, Matamidi, and Fridley entered into a joint powers agreement on February 1st, 2005 for the purpose of collectively bidding certain street maintenance services. The North Metro Street Maintenance Program, JPA, allows smaller cities to achieve more economies of scale in the bidding process and potentially achieve lower bids from contractors for crack sealing, seal coating, striping, and other street maintenance services. The City of East Bethel joined this group in February of 2008. City of Coon Rapids is the lead agency for the group. As a lead agency, they draft the specifications, solicit bids, and provide the necessary documents for member cities to sign and participate in the program. The agreement is structured such that it permits each member city to accept or reject bids for their portion of the proposed contract. Each city will pay the contractor directly for their share of the work, and contracts will be awarded separately for the various items. The City of East Bethel has realized savings of up to 20 and over 50% of the previous cost for these services through participation in the JPA Street Maintenance Program. The following projects are recommended to be bid as part of the 2022 JPA Street Maintenance Programs. These projects have been identified in the 2022-2026 Capital Improvement Program. They are 150,000 linear feet of pavement markings and 150,000 linear feet of crack sealing. The estimated cost for these projects is approximately $80,000 to $100,000. $200,000 has been budgeted in the 2022 Roads Capital Improvement Fund to cover these projects, with this remaining balance used towards the 2022 asphalt overlay projects. The overlay projects will be presented to council at a later meeting as part of a capital improvements program. Bids for the work will be received in early March and presented to City Council for final consideration at the March 21st, 2022 meeting. City staff recommends City Council consider approval of the proposed city projects for bidding as part of the 2022 North Metro Street Maintenance Program, JPA.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for approval of the proposed city projects for bidding as part of the 2022 North Metro Street Maintenance Program, JPA.
Second.
Motion made, second, discussion.
I just have a question. How come there's no municipal state aid funding for 3 years and then we are projected to have some in 2025 and 26?
Same problem.
Because we advance funded, use our MSA funds for the Sand Hill Parkway. We're allowed to advance fund up to 4 times the project cost, and that's where we got those additional funds to complete that project.
Got it, okay. I was just, just saw the zeros there. And I didn't remember. Okay, that's all I have.
Jack, can you put up the map of the JPAs? My packet still hasn't opened from 6:45, so. And Wanda's.
And I'm at a partial,
Wanda's,
so.
yeah.
Chris, do
I
you
brought
have
this slide up. Let me
I do
go
not.
back. For some reason, it's lost the,
It's just loading.
it? I've got part of it.
I couldn't even open it at home.
this one's not opening with those areas that are designated for the crack sealing and the striping. It opened earlier. I don't know what the problem is with it now. Let me try one more thing.
So, oh, you got yours open?
I got mine open,
This is the attachment, but they should be color coded. Just a moment here.
but I can't tell. really where?
All of those streets that will receive these improvements should be color coded on this attachment.
Mine's starting over. All right. Well, we're not gonna wait for that. Is there any other discussion?
So when mine does open, what's the difference between the red and the green?
There should be a legend there that tells you one of them's for
It's not,
crack sealing, and
Oh.
the other one is for striping of roads and streets.
okay.
So
It'll open
if-
someday.
That MSA stuff now, you're Ham Lake and Oak Grove,
Yeah, but
Oak Grove in both,
only
What?
part of
is
it.
Ham Lake and Oak Grove in both those, have they agreed to both those now, on the MSA stuff? For 181st and University?
Ham Lake has, and the only issue there, they're working on a little acquisition of a piece of right-of-way for the 181st project.
Okay.
Oak Grove is a 2023 project.
Correct.
They have agreed in principle on that, so we're
Okay.
gonna have a meeting with them to finalize that probably in the next couple of months. Can you reduce yours down, Suzanne? See if it's got a legend on there.
No, it's not all, only part of it's open.
Yours download yet?
It did, but I can't get it to.
Yeah,
Suzanne's
I
is
can't
open
either
with
now.
hard
Now I
drives.
got it.
But it looked
I
really
got it.
close.
Yeah. It's just
Did your
smell.
question answered, Suzanne?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Is there any other discussion? To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. City Administrator.
Item 7G2. Item 7G1, February 2022 work meeting. Our work meeting for February is scheduled for February the 7th, 2022. We currently have 3 items that could be for discussion. One of them is a start of discussion for capital facilities planning. We've talked to the need for fire station improvements. This would be one of the things that would be on there. Another thing is we need to talk about an ordinance for a firebox key for all new buildings. And one other thing I'd like to bring up and discuss is protocols for presentations and hearings. With that, if we want to schedule our work meeting for February, those are the 3 items that I would recommend for inclusion on the agenda or any other items that council has.
Are these items pressing, Jack?
There's none of them that are really time sensitive. We could take them up some other time if you want to.
Wanting to wait till we have a fuller agenda? Or what you thinking?
Yeah, kind of, 3 items.
Well,
We wait
technically
till we
it's
have
3, but
March.
we'd probably get through 2 of those items pretty quick. The other one would be a little, probably half an hour discussion,
Yep.
I imagine.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to postpone the February 7th work meeting.
I'll
Is there a second? Motion
I'll
made,
second.
motion made and second. Further discussion?
So postponing to March.
Okay.
Okay, hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Item 7G2, spring meetings and events. The spring town hall meeting is generally held in April, and it's proposed for a date that doesn't conflict with any other municipal or school district meetings. Staff has reviewed and found there to be no conflicts with evening meeting schedules for ISD 15, 831, or any East Bethel commission or committees in April for the dates as listed. Wednesday, April the 6th, Thursday, April the 14th, Tuesday, April 19th, Wednesday, April 20th, Thursday, April 21st, Wednesday, April 27th, and Thursday, April the 28th. Due to complications with COVID protocols and concerns for enlisting volunteers to work the event, the annual pet clinic has been canceled in 2020 and 2021. There is the possibility of scheduling the pet clinic at a date to be determined should there be no additional COVID restrictions related for public gatherings, and volunteer staff from the University of Minnesota are available to work the event. Staff will keep the council posted as to this situation. The City Spring Recycle Day, normally held the third week of April, was replaced by the city's Drop-Off Saturday program, which is held the last Saturday of each month from 9 a.m. to noon at the Recycle Center. Direction to this request will enable the staff to place information regarding meetings and services in the spring edition of the city newsletter, which is scheduled to be distributed March 7th through 11th. Staff is requesting that City Council set a date for the 2022 Spring Town Hall meeting.
Okay. Who has suggestions? Who has dates that don't work? Let's do that.
April 14th and the 19th.
Don't work, okay.
Would not work for me, and April 27th is Administrative Professionals Day. Would we still be able to do that with Administrative Professionals Day, Jack?
Yes.
Because you're,
I hope we don't give them a day off.
No,
There's something I didn't know.
no.
When is Easter?
17th.
The 17th. So I'd suggest we do either April 6th or the 27th or 28th, because there's going to be people.
I think we've always tried to avoid Wednesdays. Just 'cause
Go to
it's-
Thursday?
Go to Thursday,
Thursday.
28th?
28th?
Thursday, the 28th.
28th?
Works for me, because only Thursdays really work for me.
in end of April, we may have better weather, so we might get more people.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's true too.
We better than today. So.
Right.
Okay, someone
Spring
want
is
to
in
make a
the air.
motion?
I'll make a motion for the Spring Town Hall meeting to be Thursday, April 28th, 2022.
That'll be at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock?
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Item 7G3, City Administrator's Job Description Update. As the City Administrator's job description has not been updated since 2003, a revised position description is exhibited as Attachment 1 for council review. This proposed revision aligns with the duties specified in City Code Section 2-265. Also included is in Attachment 2 is the original City Administrator's job description. There is no additional compensation associated with this updated job description, and approval would be budget neutral. Staff requests City Council to consider the approval of the revised City Administrator job description as presented in Attachment 1.
I will make a motion to approve the revised city administrator job description as presented in attachment 1.
Second.
Motion made and second. Discussion. Jack, I had intended to compare this to the revisions we made last meeting for the new deputy position. So under essential duties, the third bullet, it says supervise the activities of all city department heads and personnel. Did we not change that around with the deputy city administrator position?
No, we did not do that because they will have, the deputy city administrator will have secondary functions in that relating to HR and office management functions. So for the general broad range things, the department heads would still report to the city administrator. I don't think Mike felt comfortable with some of those positions reporting to him because he wasn't as familiar with them maybe as I was. So instead of breaking them down just for the broader aspects in coordination of things too and then bringing things to council, we just left it, they would still report to the city administrator for those issues.
And who are those? Who exactly would those people be?
Mark Ducharme, Nate Ashford, Stephanie Hansen, and those are the three.
Those are the three.
That's correct.
Well, and Mike.
And Mike.
Mike.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none to the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 4.
Temporary liquor license for Ice Arena fundraising event. At the December 27th, 2021 meeting, City Council unanimously approved a motion to allow an additional 9 days of ice time to be used for fundraising events for St. Francis Youth Hockey Association, specifically for an adults team tournament on March 11th to the 13th, 2022. St. Francis Youth Hockey Association will partner with Goons for Good organization, and this tournament will be a fundraiser with the proceeds to go to be used for ice arena improvements. This tournament would include 4 to 8 participating teams, food trucks, and now a request to serve beer on the premises. Generally, alcohol sales have not been permitted in places like the arena during the season when underage children are participating in events at the arena. However, this event, as we've been told now, would be for adult teams. On March 15th, 2000, the City Council adopted Resolution 2016, which is presented in Attachment 1, wherein this issue is addressed. Item 6 of the resolution allows for the distribution and/or sale of intoxicating liquor at the East Bethel Ice Arena to be approved on a case-by-case basis for the purpose of community festivals and events. This is supported by City Code, Section 2-64, which restricts the purchase of malt liquor or intoxicating liquor in any place of public gatherings in the city, but allows the City Council to waive this restriction when it finds that to do so appears in the interest of the public. However, item 5 of this resolution prohibits the distribution or sale of intoxicating liquor in association with an amateur athletic event held on the premises. This is not addressed in City Code. St. Francis Youth Hockey Association would contract with the East Bethel Cedar Lions Club to provide the beer and sales should this be approved. They can obtain the appropriate liability insurance with the city named as an additional insured and have the application for the temporary license for this event. St. Francis Youth Hockey Association does not currently have insurance coverage for this event, but in contact with the League of Minnesota Risk Management attorney, the following recommendations have been made to the city from a liability perspective. Have a written agreement clearly defining the responsibilities of both parties. Require St. Francis Youth Hockey Association to have a minimum of $1 million per occurrence in general liability insurance. However, $2 million would be preferred. The city must be added as an additional insured on St. Francis Youth Hockey Association's liability insurance. St. Francis Youth Hockey Association agrees to defend and indemnify the city for claims related to the hockey tournament. And St. Francis Youth Hockey Association must provide the city with a certificate of insurance showing proof of insurance. The city could consider requiring participants to sign a waiver. If waivers are used, each person needs to sign the waiver. St. Francis Youth Hockey Association cannot waive claims on behalf of other people. City staff is seeking direction regarding the approval of the alcohol sales during the fundraising event at the City Ice Arena for St. Francis Youth Hockey Association on March 11th to the 13th, 2022. If council determines that the sale of beer at this fundraising event would be acceptable, Resolution 2016 should be amended to address the issue of item 5 on the said resolution. Staff would work with St. Francis Youth Hockey Association and the Lions to ensure appropriate rental agreement is drafted and that alcohol sales safeguards are put in place. So in effect, we would have to have a different rental agreement than we use for our standard rental premises for parks and other city facilities. And there's been only one other time that the city has approved beer sales at the Ice Arena. That was back in 2009, I believe. It was for a fundraiser for the Bandits. They had kind of a show, an Elvis impersonator there, but this would be a first for us, and it does contradict with an existing resolution we have regarding beer sales at amateur athletic events.
Well, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-08 for a temporary liquor license for Cedar East Bethel Lions Club for the 2022 St. Francis Youth Hockey Association in the Sticks Hockey Tournament fundraiser.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So do we not need to?
Do we have to do the other resolution
Well,
first?
we'll have to revise the other resolution,
Yes.
which is not before us anyway, so.
No, and it's included in your packet, but if this is to go through, we have to submit this 30 days prior to the event itself to alcohol and gambling enforcement. They are the ones that issue the permit. So since we don't have a council meeting till the 14th, that's why we wanted to see if we wanted to approve it, and then we can amend. Either you can give us directions to amend and strike that item 5 from that previous resolution, or we could do it at the next council meeting.
And item 5 just says intoxicating liquor shall not be distributed or otherwise sold in association with or to any person attending or participating in an amateur athletic event held on the premises.
Correct.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
And is that pertaining to just the ice arena or any amateur athletic event?
That's pertaining to the ice arena.
Okay.
Well, this says East Bethel Community and Senior Park and Park
Oh.
facilities.
And other
Yeah,
city-owned properties, this
Oh, yeah.
covers all the
Yeah,
parks
Yeah.
too.
And we do it for booster days, so I don't know how we do that and don't,
That's not an athletic event.
Yeah.
That's for a
Oh,
community
that's
event or
community
festival.
event.
Yeah.
That doesn't specify.
well, it does at the top of 2000-16, it does, now therefore be resolved to City Council in the City of East Bethel. And it's the public use and/or rental of the East Bethel Ice Arena, East Bethel Community and Senior Center, and park facilities shall be subject to the following conditions.
Right. And
So it covers everybody.
yeah, that's my point. It covers
Yeah,
everything.
it covers everything.
So,
Yeah.
So we just have to make a one-time, well,
no, we just have to redo the ordinance and strike number 5.
Yeah.
and then that would allow alcohol for sale at all facilities by case-by-case basis by our approval.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we must have been sidestepping this for all these years on Booster Day then, because we've done other ones too.
Yeah, again, I think the difference there is the Booster Day, this says amateur athletic event. And it does give us the flexibility.
It's number 7 is a community
For
festival.
6, it says distribution and/or sale of intoxicating liquor at the East Bethel Ice Arena shall be approved on a case-by-case basis primarily for the purpose of community festivals. Well, you're correct, it doesn't actually address it for other parks or city facilities. It just primarily addresses it for the ice arena.
Well, isn't 5 and 6, don't they conflict?
They do to a certain
Because 6
extent.
says you can do it.
Yep,
Well,
Chris?
5 says amateur athletic event.
Yeah.
6 is community festivals and events.
well, yeah, but up here, it says, it lists all the parks and everything. Here, right here, it lists the park, the community center and everything.
I
Right
guess,
there.
I agree, Brian. I mean, it's more specific, 5 is, so. The cleaned up, we just have to delete 5.
I agree.
Can we make a motion to do that now, or,
No, we need
no, we need,
a resolution before us, don't we?
It would be best to have the resolution before us to do that.
So what has to be done 30 days before the event?
We have to submit the application for the temporary liquor license and.
which is under consideration right now?
That's correct.
Okay, okay.
Which is a
Because
copy
the
of this
14th is
here.
not 30 days before the event, so.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's why we're doing the
We
consideration.
just need to clean up the ordinance by the 14th.
That's
Okay,
correct.
All right, all right. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none.
Just one
I'm
question,
sorry, Brian.
sorry. On the last bullet point in the write-up, the city could consider requiring participants to sign a waiver. If waivers are used, each person needs to sign a waiver. So who would be signing the waiver and who would be each person's?
Where's that at?
The last bullet point on the write-up.
I don't think we've ever required that before on anything else, and that's an option. I'm assuming we'd have to check with the league's attorney on this, or Chris may be able to define it a little bit better, but it would be everyone that purchased the product.
So anyone purchasing a intoxicating drink would have to sign a waiver.
Well, I don't think you sign it. I think that's why they do wristbands and
Yeah.
things. By handing out a wristband, you have in essence read the little thing that's on the table saying you're
Well,
not holding the city.
let me ask this, the bullets that you're referring to, how does that fit in with the motion that's on the table?
What we would have to do is incorporate these factors into we're gonna have to do a new type of.
Into the
friendly
new
agreement, yeah.
resolution? Into
yeah.
the one we're gonna consider
Correct.
on the 14th?
That's correct.
Okay, so not tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay.
Okay,
So we just need the license part
Correct.
tonight.
okay, well, we can get into those details on 14th, then, I guess.
These would be conditions of the license, correct? Entering into that, so, you know, if you wanted to state that in the resolution, that would be acceptable as well.
Okay.
They should, if this is the license, Resolution 08.
Would it be conditions of the license or conditions of the rental agreement?
The-
Because we don't issue the license,
You know,
do we?
No, the alcohol and gambling control issues the license. So what we were thinking, that this would be a condition of the rental agreement that they have to sign.
That would work too.
Yeah.
Well-
So long as they're not hosting the event without having entered into
Yeah.
that.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we continue with the motion and we can talk about these other items?
Yeah.
So staff is you can start working with St. Francis on it, so. Okay, specifically to the motion, 2022-08, is there any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none to the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
That motion passes. Okay. Back to the staff report on this. What's staff's recommendation? There's a lot of things here. Chris, I don't know if you want to chime in too. This is all about liability, so.
Well, Mayor and members of council, I think all of this makes sense from a liability perspective and what we would be looking for. This notion of preferred versus per occurrence liability, if it's preferred, why wouldn't we go ahead and get that? In fact, I don't think $1 million would cover our maximum potential liability under statute, so I think 2 million would certainly be better than 1 million per event. But any type of rental agreement, particularly where alcohol is going to be served, should absolutely cover all of this. I too am a little confused by the waiver language and want to dig into that a little bit more. Certainly. The Hockey Association would be waiving any claims against the city, but I don't know about anyone beyond that individually waiving claims as part of a rental agreement.
So you'll have more for us on the 14th?
I think we will have a contract written up by that point, that the council can approve and they can,
So in two different, I think we need to clarify something here too. In two different places, it talks about participants, and then it says each person. I assume the participants are the players that are gonna participate in hockey? Or is this participants who are gonna be purchasing alcohol? I mean, we're covered, the liability's gonna cover both, I assume, so
correct.
are we asking for a waiver for spectators? Is that what the idea is?
The idea is, what I was told, was for the consumers of the alcoholic beverages.
I believe from when we studied it, now this was Isani County, not Anoka County, but the other way that we did that, we had the option of doing this was we could keep the people drinking the alcohol in an enclosed area. They couldn't go beyond whatever the fence is or whatever you use. And that's the same thing.
I think that's what
kind of
Fogarty
limited.
does.
And
I think they do that.
Yeah,
You
you'd
can only
stand
say one part of the
One part of
arena.
the arena where they serve the beer. In our case, it was one part of the field where we were gonna do that. We had it fenced off, and that is like a hold harmless area.
I think that's part of too, defining the premises. With any type of liquor license, you define the premises on which alcohol can be served and consumed, so that would need to be a part of this since we haven't, well, it sounds like premises at the ice arena haven't been defined since 2009, so.
I mean, I think it's a little bit different from like Boosters Days, for example, because we have a little more control over what's going on. This is another totally separate operation, it's just at one of our facilities, so. So I think it's worthy to have that discussion of how they plan to enforce it, so.
Can they be here on the 14th?
That'll be a condition of their approval of their agreement. So I think they could be here. And, you know, another thing is that, you know, Booster Days, you sell alcohol, but you have people that are coming and going at all points of time. At this one right here, it'll be there'll be more people leaving at certain times than there will be at Booster Day. So one of the other things we could do is require them to have some security. There's all other kinds of
I was
things.
just gonna
Yeah.
suggest, at Booster Day, you should have deputies sitting out front to
Yeah.
make sure no one gets out the gate,
Yeah.
you know, and maybe something they can consider here too, so.
When it was done the last time at the arena, there was security that was required for that.
That's not a bad idea.
At a cost to St. Francis, no cost to the city.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
Okay.
would be responsible for the security. We would define what we expected, and it would be up to them to incur the cost.
And it might not be bad to hear from the Lions Club how they plan to handle this too.
well.
It's their
is there-
alcohol, or
yeah,
is
but
it
I don't know if
just,
it's their responsibility though.
No,
They're not
and-
are they just getting
contracted.
hired by
There's a vendor, so.
Yeah,
a
that's-
vendor?
Now, there's another issue too here, and this thing may not even eventually work out because I'm assuming that if the Lions don't, their beer wagon will not fit inside the arena. So if they use that, they would have to sell it outside, or there'd have to be a special area set up inside where they would actually conduct the sales without the wagon, which wouldn't be any real issue, but
It won't fit in any which way?
no.
Even
it
those
won't-
side
it-
doors?
Well,
Not tall.
Not,
it'll
oh, it's
fit-
too
it-
tall.
It'll fit in the back door, but then we'd have to take all the dasher boards down to get it in, so
you don't
that's,
wanna run
no,
back to back.
no.
Put it
I
in the middle
presumed
of the
it'd be
ice.
outside because they're having food trucks, so. I
That's
pre-
true, they're having
Yeah.
food trucks.
So I presumed it would be outside in the parking lot somewhere.
Looking at this again, I think it's, when it references back up, looking at the whole thing again, I'm pretty sure the league's attorney with participants was referencing the players in the adult hockey tournament.
Okay. Is there anything else on this one? Got enough?
Yep.
Okay, we'll expect to see it on 14th then. All right, on to staff reports. Jack?
The reader board is operational now again, so, everybody look for the most current messages on what's happening in the city. The city hall did have a water outage today. We were out of water until about 3:45. There was a leak at the well on the line that runs back to the building. That has been repaired, and we apologize for any inconvenience that any customers may have with their bathrooms being out of order.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, council reports. Wanda.
I have nothing.
Brian.
Planning commission meeting tomorrow, be attending that, and I look forward to, our breakfast on, or the fire department's breakfast on Saturday.
Okay. Tim, I know what you're gonna say. Nick.
He saved mine, yeah. The only thing this morning, there was, the fire department training was box alarms. What that is they've gone to a new system. When there's a structure fire, it'll be toned out and it'll tell what's coming from what cities. Before, you just did mutual aid. So now you'll know if you've got an engine, tanker, or an aerial truck coming. So that's what the box alarm is. And like Brian says, this Saturday, 8 to 11, come on down.
Be there.
Fire Station 1.
Fire Station 1. And if weather permitting, there'll be a helicopter, there's gonna be a bake sale, and some other vendors selling different things, so.
Good. Suzanne.
I attended along with Tim the Booster Day committee meeting, and the timing's gonna be different. It's gonna mostly be starting in the afternoon. They're gonna be a parade, vendors, we got petting zoo, band. We're still working out the details.
And we're gonna have a car show.
Car
Correct.
show, yes.
We're having a car show. So if you're listening, get your cars ready.
Get your cars in.
You got time.
We have a car.
I have a few.
Yeah, we got a rough in on times. I'm sorry I butted in, Suzanne, but we got a rough in of times for the different things, but
And the parade's
that
back.
might change because parade and, the ball team wants to play ball that day.
Oh, that's
So
right, the Bandits are
The
planning
Bandits,
to
so
play
they
a
wanna be
game.
in the parade, so we might parade, then they'll play ball after the parade. So sometimes could change, but like she said, in the afternoon, as soon as the fireworks are done, then we're done.
I'm excited already. Something to look forward to in January, so.
July.
Is that it? I have nothing. I just have one request. In our packet tonight, Wanda had the same problem. That city map we used for the GPA, and this isn't the first year it's happened. When we insert that GIS map in the PDF, it just explodes the whole file. It's like 10 meg, and it's all because of one file. And my packet didn't literally open until about 15 minutes ago because of it, so.
Okay.
And you had the same problem too.
I couldn't open anything
So
after
there's
that.
ways of doing that and not making a workable
Send it
GIS.
separate?
You just make a picture of it basically, so.
PDF.
Well, it is a PDF, but it's a,
It's the size of it.
yeah, it's a whole file. It's a big file.
You
so.
can shrink the file size.
Well, you can take an image of it, and the image is only half a meg, so. But anyhow, if we can find a way of doing that, so.
Okay.
That's all I have, and I hope to see lots of people there Saturday morning, so. Having Route 65 breakfast with the firefighters, so.
Correct.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Our meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good for you. It's a twofer. You're up, Tim.
Ready? I'm gonna call January 24th HRA meeting to order. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Item number 3, appointment of officers.
The HRA is governed by a board of 5 commissioners who are members of the East Bethel City Council. The HRA commission board members' terms coincide with their terms as members of the council. For the HRA bylaws, the board is required to appoint HRA officers at its annual meeting. Staff recommends that the Housing and Redevelopment Authority appoint a chairperson, vice chairperson, and a secretary, and adopt Resolution 2022-01 designating the officers for the 2022 HRA term.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2022-01, appointing the officers. Chairperson Tim Harrington, Vice Chairperson Suzanne Urkel, Secretary Brian Mundell for the Housing and Redevelopment Authority.
Second.
Motion made second.
Did we skip something?
No.
Motion made, second, discussion. Go ahead, I don't,
Sorry.
no discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, we have our new officers. Item number 4, approval of the minutes for the October 25th HRA meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 25th, 2021 HRA meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I abstain.
Steve abstains. We have our minutes. Item number 5, resolution designating official newspaper.
State statute requires that the East Bethel Housing and Redevelopment Authority publish its official notices in a newspaper that has general distribution throughout the city. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority is required to designate an official newspaper where legal notices will be published. The Anoka County Union Herald meets the publication and circulation requirements as required by statute and has been designated the City of East Bethel's official newspaper for 2022. The Anoka County Union Herald is recommended as the HRA's official newspaper. Staff recommends that the East Bethel Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board adopt Resolution 2022-02 designating the Anoka County Union as the official newspaper for 2022.
I'll move resolution 2022-02, designating the Anoka County Union Herald as official newspaper of City of East Bethel for 2022.
Second.
Motion made, second, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have this newspaper. Item number 6, resolution designing official depositories.
Resolution 2022-03 recommends official depositories for the East Bethel Housing and Redevelopment Authority funds. These agencies or institutions are the approved depositories for the City of East Bethel as adopted by City Council on January 10th, 2022. Staff recommends that the Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board adopt Resolution 2022-03 designating the official depositories for 2022.
I'll make a motion for resolution number 2022-03 designating official bank depositories for 2022 as First Bank and Trust, 4M Fund, and Village Bank.
Second.
Motion made, second, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have a designated official depositories. Item number 7, HRA financial update.
Per Minnesota State Statute 469.033, Subdivision 6, the East Bethel HRA must prepare and file a budget in accordance with the city budget procedures of the city. The city and HRA approved a levy amount of $77,000 for 2022 to ensure the continued legal status of the city HRA as a standalone authority and to provide HRA funds for eligible projects. The unaudited cash balance as of January 18th, 2022 was $105,919. The 2022 tax settlement revenue will be distributed to the HRA in July and December of 2022. The HRA account balance is projected to be $182,919 at year-end 2022, given no unbudgeted expenditures occurred during this time. This is an information item, and I'm open for questions on anything you may have on the HRA budget.
Notice not nothing? Okay, finally, I'll take one more for adjournment.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made, second, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.